Okay, let's call to order today's Urban Renewal Advisory Committee meeting on June 17th, 2025. Reminder to please silence your cell phones. And then I don't believe we have an audience member today. Hello, but I don't believe you have any business for us, correct? Okay, great. Any agenda additions or corrections today?
No, there are not.
Great, we're just speeding on through. We do not currently have a quorum, so we are going to again set over this approval of the meeting minutes, correct? Okay. And now we are moving on to our regular business items. Will, you have a bunch of stuff for us to talk about?
Yeah, thank you. So my thought is I'll go through these and collect input. And since we don't have a quorum today, I'll then summarize the input out and just kind of shoot it out to everyone, to the entire URAC, and just see if anyone had anything to add or any objections. And then when I carry these items forward to the agency board, I'll note that the input that I received was from a meeting without a quorum. Yeah. Okay. So first is the middle housing construction incentive. Wanted to share with you a draft brochure and marketing approach and get the group's just input and opinion and thoughts. So it was full-sized in the packet, but I'm going to give you how it's actually supposed to. It's looking really maybe more professional than that. Like not just me with scissors in the back, but did you have an idea?
And these will be distributed around town or.
Right, yeah, so my plan is to send these to so Cascadia Partners helped us create this. They have also given me a list of Portland, Bend, and Spokane middle housing developers, folks who are actually doing this type of housing product. So I'll send it to those developers. I'm going to send it to everyone who's pulled a housing construction permit in the city going back 5 years. And we have a list of parcels that are either vacant or partially vacant on the west side. So I'll send it to all those landowners who potentially have developable property on the west side. Yeah, and so it's just meant to make our incentive easily understandable. Provide some visuals as far as what the middle housing code can allow you to build. And hopefully this will generate some interest. You know, the middle housing code was, I think, adopted in 2021 and has resulted in 6 units. So really hasn't caught fire. Middle housing incentive, we have made folks aware of it, but it's been kind of a soft launch. So this will be hopefully being the missing piece that gets the ball rolling. So I think and there I'll show you. Let's see, what's the easiest way to get to it? So I have the working draft of the website that this will be attached to as well, where it has all of the renderings of all the middle housing types. So basically there's just three more renderings that didn't fit on here. So I'll send that out to you. It's still a work in progress. So yeah, any feedback or input maybe on either their approach or the document itself?
I think it's great.
I thought it's really nice and simple. It's straightforward. It's really easy to understand, and it looks like, you know, a check for X $1,000 to the developer. It's pretty cool. It is.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it's very simply organized and explained, which is, I'm sure, helpful.
Yeah. My biggest question right now is whether to use a serif or sans serif.
You know, that's funny. As someone who was a graphic designer for 15 years, I was going like, you know, I might have an objection to this font.
Yeah, just nothing's as compact as Times New Roman.
It's true. It's easy to read.
So if you have any ideas, I've been playing with fonts and I can't find something better, but I think it would look a little bit more contemporary if it was sans serif.
We can talk about fonts
Okay.
on the side.
Good. Okay. No other okay, ready to move on?
Yeah.
Okay. Next is contract amendment for the Mount Adams preliminary engineering and proportionate share project contract that is already in place. And we have revised direction from ODOT that we should move forward with what they call an intersection control evaluation. And this is a standardized analysis that's required whenever there's a change to an intersection on a state roadway. Prior, we had expected to do this a few steps down the road after we had already created a proportionate share district. And let me know if you want me to go into more about proportionate share district. I'm just kind of using that as if we all know exactly what it is. But it's would create funding. So I thought, let's push as much work as possible behind that step. So we have funding source for it. ODOT concurred at one point in time. And then after we issued the contract to DKS, they said, no, we've actually talked to our traffic engineering staff and they think you need to do an intersection control evaluation sooner rather than later. So we asked DKS to provide a revised contract to it. It increases the price, I think, to it's 70-something thousand. It's in the packet, which is underneath the $100,000 contract limit through our qualified pool list, and also below the $80,000 that I had budgeted in the FY 25-26 budget. So if you're okay moving forward with that, that's what we'll do. And it is possible if we want to at a later time, or it's kind of a city policy as well. If we want to seek reimbursement for these costs, we can do that as well, but we don't have to decide that tonight.
From where?
From proportionate shared dollars.
Okay.
So similar to how the city did the preliminary work to create the urban renewal plan for the west side, and then that those costs became debt that the west side plan has to repay the city for. Sort of be like, we're doing the plan, we create the reimbursement district, and then the reimbursement district pays back the costs of the plan if we want to do that.
So this isn't something that needs a motion and a vote necessarily.
No, I guess without a quorum, I'll just take feedback.
Is that anything we can do to grease the wheels and push towards getting a check to someone who's gonna fix that intersection sooner is better. This is one of the things. So I'm all for it.
And it's under budget.
Yeah.
The ICE, the ICE,
Uh-huh.
it'll, I know. Ugh. It will, so will it essentially confirm that a roundabout is the best? I mean, not to like put the, you know, when they say in science, you don't want to like try and make your hype, whatever, you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
That's what it's for, right? To figure out, make sure that there's not a better alternative to the roundabout.
Yep, and the alternative is a signalized intersection, and so they'll look at both of those.
Right.
And it depends what's going to come out on top is going to depend what your criteria is. If it's purely dollars, an intersection, lighted intersection is going to be cheaper.
Sure.
But if you want traffic flow, safety, the ability to operate when power's out, there's really only one option that can do that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The ability to operate when the power is out is one that just didn't occur to me, but that's huge.
Okay, well, I'll pass that along, and then if the agency board approves, we'll execute that contract. Next up is transfer of ownership of Nichols Basin to the city of Hood River. Maybe I'll pop up this picture of where that is. Oh, really? I would love to have some of that history.
I didn't know it was a shipbuilding yard. That what that was what I've heard.
Is that not a DEQ site?
Probably is, but it to no effect because nothing will ever be built there now. Well, passive park, what it is now is kind of what it will always be. Yeah, but it was a shipbuilding yard. Yeah, but as Steve noted, the Urban Renewal Agency gained ownership of it as part of a development deal that resulted in the Hampton Inn and also the MCMC building getting built. So essentially all of this property was under one ownership. And Steve, like, jump in if I get any of this wrong, but and so the development was just getting a lot of public opposition. And I'm not sure what kind of the leverage and the negotiation between all the different parts were, but I know that kind of what broke the stalemate was the city or the agency purchased the Nichols Basin from the developer with money borrowed from the developer at 0% interest. And then that loan was then repaid back to the developer by the tax increment created specifically and solely by the development they created. Yeah.
Crazy.
Mhm.
I didn't know that.
Now they make the big
I didn't know
Yeah.
the agreement. I know they're met with the developer and next thing you do it's.
Ironed out. Yeah. Yeah, so we paid it off in 2022 or 2023. And it paid itself off, really. Yeah. And now,
NATO was the developer.
yep.
Mm.
Yeah, so I remember that when I was finance director, NATO, I think it was Bob NATO, Bob or Bill, would send me their tax bill showing, highlighting what they paid into the urban renewal district, and then I would authorize a check right back to them and then chunk down the money we owed. Yep. Yeah, pretty cool deal. It was just preceded my tenure at the city, so I never knew exactly how it got worked out, but it was pretty smart.
There's no cable farm there.
Right.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Like a zip line situation?
Yep.
So this cable
Going
farm
where?
and Stuff is going to be built, projecting.
Oh, I
And then a
vaguely
bunch of
remember.
people wanted to be able to walk their dogs along the shore this time, because, you know, that separate. from the cable farm. And they worried about this thing being built over this area.
Yeah, I
And,
remember something about that.
So then they, like I said, then they wanted this walkway, and I remember thinking that, well, if you build the walkway, you make it ADA accessible, you've just screwed up all the same environmental concerns that the dog walkers wanted. So it's kind of a moot point as far as I know, the whole kind of.
Yeah. Well, it's just passive park restoration area now for evermore. But it's the property of the agency, and once the waterfront district closes, can't own any property. So
So
just
once the city owns it, they just maintain it like a park.
passive. No, they
They're
just
just gonna leave them.
just leave it. Yeah, I think I'd have to look at it, but there's a whole bunch of easements, like restoration, natural easements. I'm pretty sure it's pretty well protected that you can't do anything on it. Yeah. Mhm.
So it's not a cost to the city to maintain.
Yeah. So this is kind of just a perfunctory item to get done sooner rather than later. It's kind of bureaucratic process between the county to get all this stuff recorded, and we recently did it for, you know, the May Street property. We transferred the May Street property from the agency to the city, so I figured while we're in the habit, and it's kind of fresh in our mind how to do this, let's just do this one too. Yeah. Okay. Now, yeah, publicly owned parcels. So this is part of those list of qualified pool projects that we talked about. Supporting the Mariposa 2.0 project, as it's been called, trying to think of a better name other than Next Affordable Mixed Income Housing Projects.
So it's just a-
Yep, the 130 units. Yeah,
Then you still go west side.
right.
Potentially.
Exactly. Yeah, and the West Side Urban Renewal Plan expects 3 more housing projects in its lifetime.
That would fill up that whole space, so they're bigger.
Oh, no, not just 3 more publicly initiated, supported, managed.
The rest could be.
Yeah. Mhm. So this is the initial stage is to plan for what is our next Mariposa Village? And so I've got Cascadia Partners doing a research project where they're gonna kind of give us a white paper on what alternatives to the IRS low income housing tax credit model that Mariposa Village was. So we kind of, when we went into Mariposa Village, we really didn't evaluate alternatives. We just like, oh, we're just going to work with the housing authority and we're going to do some regulated affordable housing, done off the shelf. But there are a lot of other different models. And so I have them working on just basically a research project to have us think of a whole wide range of menu of different ways that we could initiate housing. But the second leg of this is to look at what parcels we have that could potentially either house affordable housing or site affordable housing, or generate revenue or sale proceeds to kind of go into the bank to support housing investments. And just a little, I guess, background on that. I don't know if we all aware of the city selling these two parcels just last year?
No.
Yeah, so
What's that building?
right there.
Across the street.
Oh, second.
It's along the stairs. That little
Yep.
path go up.
It's along the stairs, so I'll give a street view.
Oh.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah.
This area.
Okay.
Yeah, so identified these as being city owned in 2019, sort of through a similar process, and looked into the history of them. And actually the city had owned, where are we? The city had owned, oh, sorry, starting with these ones up here, all of this. And sold all of it all at once, I think in the late 70s or early 80s. But sold it all as one batch. And the developer who bought it, basically a year or two later, just gave these two parcels back to us. I think because back then they were so steep, they were thought to be, yeah, they were thought to be probably worthless and they didn't want to pay property tax on them. But they kept these, two of them eventually got built. And so I noticed, well, if we surplused them once, we obviously don't need them. So surplused them again, took multiple years to kind of work through the process, but we sold them for $460,000. And that's with easements protecting, I put an easement on it so that the trees within a certain feet of the stairway could not be changed. But that money went into the Affordable Housing Reserve and has been helping us with Mariposa Village costs. Yeah, so that's just sort of a for instance of like how if we have surplus property it can be put to use. Yep. So what we've got remaining, and I was talking to Chair Hoffman about this, and we were thinking maybe the best thing to do would be to prioritize these, maybe as something to for the committee to think about. The next step in evaluating these parcels is to do what's called a phase 1 environmental assessment, ESA, phase 1 environmental site assessment. Anyway, and that's for free. And McKed has a grant program for that. And likely we can do all of these, but if we are constrained and they will only let us do a certain number, then having a prioritization exercise would be helpful. So I'll kind of hit each one of these and then maybe we can have a prioritization discussion. So this is above the State Street lot. So right there, that public parking lot. Yeah, but it's permit parking only. That extends all the way up the hill. It's all one parcel. I'm pretty sure can be surplused and it's no specific use because I did see that we looked at putting a police station there in 1996. There is a access license. I put in here that easement but I've since found the license. We issued a license to these properties here that they have a license to use this driveway to access their properties. But
The driveway coming across.
yep, the driveway comes in here, loops down like this, then goes back around,
Oh,
and then that's the parking for these houses down here.
oh.
Yeah, so I think we can terminate the license if we wanted to. Or, just put it, as a condition of however we develop this, that access needs to be maintained for those folks. Nothing that needs to be decided now.
What would they do if they didn't have that driveway?
Well, they just
Just
park
not
on the
leave.
street.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, there are stairs.
yeah, I don't, that's complicated.
Yeah.
Can you still leave it just part of all of the street to the south? Can that just be divided off into more housing units like we did the other two?
Yeah, so like cut this parcel in half. Yeah, yeah. Yes, exactly. And that would be, steps down the road.
That'd be kind of easy.
Mhm.
Then I guess if you wanted to do a parking structure or something for the northern half.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine the air rights above the parking lot might be valuable.
Soccer.
There you go.
That's not being more than 3 tiers, it's not like you've got 2 cars and people, wow,
Mhm.
Yeah,
That's all.
yeah, that's an interesting idea.
Where's your building? The other, what is it, sky, well, whatever.
light well,
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But it doesn't have any parking.
Right.
Are we at a point sometimes where I noticed some of the other sites were like, where the farmers market is, for parking lots and stuff.
Mhm. We,
I don't know, if we have parking lot plan.
No, we've talked about it 1,000 times, but never
Yeah.
really got there.
Some number of parking spaces we're aiming for. One.
yes, we are parking deficient. So we do have a 2019 plan. And it created so what guides us is called the 85% rule. That once 85% of spaces are occupied at peak hours, then we need to do something. And I'll talk about more about the history of parking garage when we get to that, to the Columbia lot. But yes, I would say anything that removes parking spaces from downtown is going to be a live issue.
Mhm.
I feel strongly that all these ADA improvements and curb bump outs are gonna improve parking because it's not such a threat across the road.
That's
I really
a
strongly feel that.
interesting.
That's the next 5 years, absolutely. Because if you park 3 blocks away, it's the same as parking at Land at Walmart. Your walk is actually far, but you don't have to cross the street there. Here it's, we're just making it better.
Yeah.
I think it's even more so gonna be that case in the Heights.
Mm.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Because the Heights is so severely parking impacted, right?
It's
Spot.
not really, it's.
But you go 2 blocks and there's tons of parking.
Pedestrian unfriendly is what it is.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
It's terrifying to walk around on the Heights.
Yeah.
I am too.
But it's cool, I think, Will, that prioritizing some of these is a really great idea. Will help people sort of stay focused on.
Yeah.
Maybe collective energy into the higher ones and
Mhm.
less energy on the lower ones.
Yeah.
I was sort of joking about like the soccer field,
Uh-huh.
but way back when we were doing stuff with the water. But at the time, a bunch of people in the community were complaining about lack of sort of organized plays, soccer, baseball, stuff. I think we were trying to figure out how to really develop the heck out of the water from there.
Uh-huh. I've heard that.
And we had so much of that area is parking lot.
Yeah.
We have building. The other 2/3 of the site's the parking lot for the 1/3 of the building.
Yeah.
Site of the building. And I remember, again, maybe too jokingly, but I said, well, building parking structure, but the synthetic turf up there on the top and You know?
Yeah.
Kids can be up in soccer games. Because we're kind of hilly. Flat.
Yeah,
So,
and our land values probably are similar to something much more urbanized.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any more questions on this one before I move to the next? Okay. Okay, the Columbia lot. So that's a huge, massive, well-located, parcel. It's all just surface parking right now. Like I said, anything that reduces one parking space downtown is probably gonna receive a ton of opposition. But this is definitely super developable. We got it from the Port of Hood River, deeded it to us for nothing more than the promise to eventually build a parking garage there.
there goes.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting. I
Do
think,
they owe those condos? Any, I guess not,
Mm.
but they have windows looking out.
yeah, they don't have any view
Most
rights.
of them are really. Some of them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they don't have a view, but
Garages back
and they do have an easement for access to those little garages. So it's a little, this area right here is an easement. But the rest of it's totally unencumbered. I believe it used to be a agricultural, like packing house, that burned down.
there. Oh, well,
So, used for some special events, so that would be, probably some folks would care, about relocating, things like that, but.
we see a lot of complaints related to this one.
Oh, yeah,
Like,
It's just the most obvious place for your department.
yes,
Right?
yeah,
That's just.
yeah.
it's big.
Yeah.
yeah, seemed like if you did something that was a net, like if you could get housing plus some workforce housing. That also subsidized a parking garage, so that there was a net increase in public parking, perhaps that could be a win for everyone. Yeah. This is on the other side of the interstate, over on, this is Westcliff. And here's the Morrison Park disc golf area. And I
I
think,
remember that.
oh,
Mhm.
yeah. So this parcel here is city owned. It may have been part of Morrison Park before the interstate, maybe cut it in half, I'm not sure. But it just sits there. And that's about all there is to say on
Is
it.
it actually more?
What's that?
It's a bunch of it, street force, I guess I just sort of assumed it was kind of this empty thing, and so somebody just decided to call it a park. But maybe it goes way back to maybe, like you said, maybe before the interstate.
Yeah, maybe. So that's what the phase one ESA digs into the history of the parcel. So that's what that will uncover. If it turns out it is part of Morrison Park, then it would take a public vote in order to do anything with it.
As I drive along there, I never really noticed there was a gap in the houses there.
Yeah,
Woodsy over there.
it's flat, maybe wet.
I sneak my dog down to the railroad tracks.
Uh-huh. Oh, you can make your way all the way over there.
Or downtown, you just follow whichever the split of the tracks.
Oh, interesting. So yeah, that one's in there, not,
Yeah.
Mhm.
That one. Home residential living already.
right. It's outside of the city limits, but inside the urban growth boundary, not served with sewer. I believe Ice Fountain may be serving water.
So those homes are subject to something.
Yeah. We're getting more and more unique as we go along.
Yeah, I'm trying to really stretch it.
Yeah. I don't know why we own this. Yeah.
Whatever they offer was sort of a grand, so what's the deal with the land on both sides of it?
States, I believe the state of Oregon owns here. And then Yeah, I like just word of mouth, totally don't, put any faith in this, but I heard it maybe was a dump back in the day.
The one on the right.
No, our property.
Oh, that's,
Yeah.
I was wondering what was to the left of it there.
Oh.
Sandy.
Yeah, maybe part of it does look like similar. But yeah, the rest of so there's some US Forest Service and there's some Confederated tribes of Warm Springs.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
south.
Likelihood of developing that is negligible,
Right, but the best idea I had was like a campsite for maybe cyclists when the trail opens up, that perhaps, the county operates campgrounds, so maybe we can
Mhm.
lease it to the county for cover the revenue and put that into the affordable housing reserve.
There is a park. Yeah, there's lots of the park.
Mhm.
Yeah, the park, this has
Mhm.
this has water.
Yeah, it would be cool.
Especially with trails done.
Mhm. Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
And
Mhm.
then is that just sort of a cliff on the north edge?
Yeah. Yeah, really cool view.
Mhm.
Yeah, I was like, I've heard that it was a dump, and I was like, how could that couldn't be? Like, why would you dump something here? But then, there was the fire over on the historic state trail that caught an underground dump on fire.
Yeah, that's why it was closed for so long.
Yeah, because there was underground trash burning, and I was like,
Ooh,
oh,
fun.
okay, I guess people did dump garbage out here.
I think that was.
Uh-huh.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
Well, it's so weird that the city just has that one funny piece of land on either side of it.
Mhm.
All looks kind of empty.
yeah,
Why it's a changeable.
yeah. Now we're getting out of properties outside of the city's ownership. And that was input from the advisory committee that we shouldn't just look at city, but all publicly owned. So I have the school district's property over on the west side, and that one is just, I mean, it's the juiciest target of them all. We don't control it. But yeah, it's got it's at the intersection of nearly every important street that's needed for the west side to build out, much larger than the footprints of any of their existing schools. But they haven't been interested in doing anything with it since they bought it in 2009. Right.
My memory is when the city was working with the transportation plan. And a road with an adult, just kind of talking to her about it, but I thought that road coming up. From
This one here.
yeah, right where your big like
Mhm.
sign is, approximate location of people over. I thought that was gonna come up and go straight more or less to the south, but I see it looks like it's kind of you're going off to the right.
Yeah, this is the current transportation system plan as it is today.
Get truck traffic off of 13th, going up that hill.
Oh, yeah.
Because in the winter especially, that was the only way to access basically the upper valley, was to go up 13th. And I remember Cindy talking about, well, we're gonna come up this way, get up to the get up on the heights and go on up to the farmland and take the load off of 13th.
Yeah, if they went straight in there, I think Frankton is where they most all want to get to. So I don't think there would be any reason to not just stay.
Well, Franklin was what I remember, but I remember she had that road coming up right where you did off that bend.
Yeah,
And then I thought it was straight up, and I remember at one point I even told her, I said, you're going right through the school property, they're not gonna like that. And
No, but curious about, it seems very.
I don't know why it went off to the right.
That this school district have done that throughout all of Clear River's history of planning around lack of housing, and to not. Are they just too much of a panic about other things to deal with this, or?
I think they're just kind of thinking
That should be
narrowly.
one Benefit more than the school district for having more middle income housing.
You planning on
Well,
building
I
a
think
new
they
high school?
they were
that
thinking they'd have.
part of
a
it?
new school.
Okay,
Third,
that's what I thought.
They didn't know where to put it. Because it was run out of Came available, so they went out and bought it. The only weird thing about it was it's more or less right next to, White, or not,
Little school.
what's the other grade school?
West Side?
West Side,
Yeah,
yeah, it's pretty close to West Side, right?
right. I know, I mean,
That was the thinking at the time. School districts around the state are always like, well, where are we gonna build the next school? Because our school person seems to be building where.
right, and if you're a school district, you're tax exempt, so there's no holding cost, so you can land speculate all you want. And it doesn't cost you a penny other than the purchase price.
I always worked for architectural for doing school, especially when the security was a big deal. I remember telling Cindy, school district, not gonna like having this public road going through their school. But now I look at it, the way it's around now, it just kind of goes through one little corner, but I kind of remember. I mean, more just, you know, the original purpose I thought was just to really be an alternative, like Franklin was hard to get to now.
Yeah, well, they're all just dotted lines, you know, this is not prescriptive.
Well, obviously, the transportation plan changed from some draft item that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So how would anything happen with this? We'd do the evaluation and then go to the school district and say, hey, look what this could be. Are you interested? And try and woo them into,
Well, I've been trying.
yeah.
Well, it's like the district may be more interested in money than land.
Mhm.
Yeah, I've been trying to make the point that, you know, your land banking, which is stopping us from building homes, which is then resulting in enrollment decline, which is making it so you don't need to build a new school. And so we've kind of got a chicken or the egg problem.
Mhm.
Back when this was happening.
Oh, we were rocketing in 2007, 2008, and you know, I think that was just kind of in the water back then of just Hood River is gonna grow infinitum and get land while the getting's good. And this is about the same time that Columbia Gorge Community College bought their land that they've been sitting on over on the next property, you know, ever since they bought it. So Parks and Rec did some land banking as well. We kind of all did some land banking, and then we're surprised when we took all this buildable land off of the general rules that there was no place for anyone to build in. So, I'm with you, Clint.
Well, so you have an ongoing dialogue about this necessarily, I mean, this is a line item to them, right? They've turned over their board 2 or 3 times since 2009,
Uh-huh.
and maybe they don't even know they have it.
Yeah, I offered.
Yeah.
No, I offered that I would do the site planning if they would just commit to doing something with it. But they said they can't commit to doing anything with it. But they are good partners in that they're have said that we can do a phase 1 ESA on it. So that's at least.
How does, you know, how that size property compares to the property they have at Main Street?
3 times bigger.
So in theory, they could do half of it.
Certainly there's excess land. Yeah,
but still get the-
Partial,
yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, and then the last one is the county property. And this one is no bones about it. It's supposed to be used for housing. They bought it for housing. Just haven't figured out how to make use of it yet.
It's just. This is that. It's down that last rock.
Yeah, behind the housing development that's currently there.
What is that plat road?
That is Wine Country. Extension. So this would link up into Mariposa Village.
It would.
Let me double check that. This would go, yep, right into Mariposa Village.
Mm. I'll tell you what, I was using that Rand Road stoplight when the fire highway traffic situation was a mess to get where I needed to
Oh.
go instead of coming down. Yes.
Yeah, so do we wanna maybe prioritize if we can't get all of these in, which ones should we? Should we focus on?
What was the deal with the county one that we would have to just approach them and see if they'd,
Yeah,
Sell it?
So
they are still, the county administrator just wanted to get the board sign off on allowing us to do a phase one ESA. But I don't think they're gonna, I think we'll get permission.
but we are-
yeah,
get the lane.
yeah,
The county one is priority one?
I mean,
That's, I mean, just to get it from them.
Uh-huh.
That'll,
Yeah, because it's already designated for housing.
yeah, there's gonna be a road for it,
mhm.
so I'm not sure what the county's gonna do.
It seems like it might be,
Also a model adjacent to it, what about, like.
yeah,
Already,
Mhm.
is that right?
Yeah, yeah.
I think that school district 17 acres is.
That obviously is a
Mhm.
steeper piece of land. Not like when they, not like the apartments in front of it. They're flat. But
yeah.
that thing must be a.
Oh, yeah, there's a ravine right here. Yeah, most of it's a ravine.
so it wouldn't really be like a huge housing development.
No, it might be useful as like a park.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like if everything else built out around it and it needed like credits for open space. Mhm. Okay, so mark that one number one.
not as
How
much,
much is already in the urban growth area, the city? Can we do much of it?
Oh, you mean,
Like, yeah, or like that.
yeah, that's within the urban growth boundary. Definitely constrained by,
So you
um,
want it to be. You want to figure out what it would take to get sewer there.
yeah, or just what it would be worth to sell. You know, so this is either for housing itself
Mhm.
or to generate money for housing.
Well, that's,
Mhm.
yeah,
yeah, that might be one, although.
I think people are gonna lose their minds again about it being open space. I'm not saying we shouldn't consider it. I'm just saying we have to consider that as well.
If it's a part of Morrison, then it needs better access. Get to it.
Yeah. Agreed.
Right now, it's just kind of, nobody looks there.
I don't think anyone knows that it's publicly owned, yeah.
No.
Mhm.
And if it did, if it was a park, it's gonna just be a nice park for
Mhm.
the 6 homes that's surrounding it.
Yeah, I think it's good for considering for sale to generate funds for sure.
It'd be a great place for some multi-families. But, gotta get
If it's sewer.
sewer.
Yeah.
Split off there, just. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Split the 3 lots and sold.
Oh, yeah. If it's
Yeah, you
buildable.
just divide it up and let them build what they're already doing. I mean, that's the easiest thing.
Mhm.
It doesn't fit the middle income housing, but.
But if you wanted. More housing, that could almost be a multi-family right there.
Yeah, that sewer, extending the sewer is just so costly,
Plus it's sewer.
yeah. Cause we'd have to bring it underneath the interstate. Or like all the way down West
Nothing on that
Coast.
side of the sewer, the old hotel, probably the George Hotel.
That's where we'd have to bring it from, it's like all the way over there. Yeah,
We still have to have the voter approval anyway, even if
And
you wanna
the
sell
house
it.
that doesn't have. Sometimes it.
there's sewer on the south side of the interstate. I can only imagine
This, but
Mhm.
the type of approvals you would need to,
right,
yeah. I
That's where those engineering. kids-
Yeah.
Mhm.
think ODOT's pretty protective of their interstates.
Yeah, I feel like this one is somewhere near the bottom of my ranked choice
Same.
list of items.
Okay, well, the county one's number one. What do you, does anyone wanna?
Number 2, school,
Well,
school area.
Which one?
The, yeah,
Oh,
with the idea that there's a possibility that they might sell part of it.
great.
you just explore with the school district. Sure.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
Yeah, and this is all, because next step is phase one ESAs. So that what we're ranking right now for is if we can't do all of them, which are the ones that we really want to do phase one ESA for.
Well, the first one, I mean, if you were just for houses along the street to the south. Keep hold of the land that's including that parking. And an equal on top of that, just basically divide that. Well, just looking at what's across the street from you, you get six buildings.
Yeah. Are these duplexes too, or are these?
That,
I don't know.
I think those are those tall.
I think they're just tall houses. That's Sherman.
Oops.
Mm-hmm. I think those are just tall looking thin houses. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, Eugene Street now.
Those are.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, they are
Okay. Oh,
duplexes.
yeah, they are duplexes.
Ah, yeah.
So each one of those sat on a $400,000 parcel,
Mhm.
6 of them. 24. Better term.
Mhm.
What over?
Oh, do you want to put that one as number 3?
Yeah.
And you still have land left over if you wanted to do some sort of parking.
Mhm.
I don't know how feasible that is. But it might still maintain an access to those people that to the left who needed that right away.
Yeah.
If you kept that.
Yeah, okay. Let's see, okay, number 4. Still got Columbia Law in contention. Number 4.
In New York for our campus.
Yeah, see.
Number 4.
Yeah.
It just parking stalls that are cheaper than just over the trail.
Uh-huh. Okay, so then competing for second to last place is the Columbia lot or this parcel over.
Columbia lot. I'm putting tax lot 600 at the bottom of my list. Oh gosh, I don't know. This is hard.
Well, unless. Running it back.
Yeah.
Usually.
Right. Should we,
Yeah, for reference, 15 years ago, the council voted to start paying for the garage. And as I remember, there's gonna be 3 stories on both of those lots, 3 stories of parking. And the cost of each slot was $17,000. So
To build.
the came up with it and moved the, so anytime you open a business or start something you want to build, you have to pay in lieu of parking at $17,000 per car per employee, whether you were nice or not.
yeah. Didn't make much money, yeah. Then we dropped it. Basically, yeah. Then nothing got built.
Are there parking spaces in town? Sort of well-known ones that are rental and what they go for?
Gosh, let's see, so,
Like if we turned it into permit parking or something where we sell permits.
Yeah, I mean, you know.
oh, we do. So this should, all of our parking lots generate a lot of revenue for us. I'm trying to remember.
I mean, if it's permit parking for like city employees that would come, if it's permit parking you got in there, just so the thing is what the permits
Yeah.
cost.
I think, don't quote me on this, Columbia is about $30 a month. And it's not sold out.
Or really,
all our other lots. So we've got the Cascade lot.
I just heard 300 down on Portland in 1995.
Yeah. And we've got the State Street lot and we've got the Front Street lot. And those are more like in the $60 to $70 a month range.
Wow,
And those are all sold out.
oh, that's not, you can't build parking.
No.
But that, it was 300, 400 lot.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, that was years ago.
Oh, yeah.
400 a month if I built.
So following our 85% rule, we haven't raised the rate in the Columbia lot for several years because it has been sold out. But we raise the price $5 every year on all the other lots until they're not sold out anymore. But so far, we haven't reached the point where anyone has decided to leave. Yeah. Probably get different opinions from the people paying it. But.
Sure. No, I like it to have just a dedicated parking spot for myself anytime I needed to go downtown. Like, that seems worth $30 a month.
Yeah, we'll get a Columbia lot pass.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do we want to make Columbia lot the second to last and this parcel over on this, that might be part of Morrison Park is the last one?
Yeah, you could research what is that.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't kind of a park, nobody's gonna jump up and down too much about it.
Yeah, I'm really excited to do, I hope we get to do the phase one ESA on all of these, because I'm really interested in the history. of some of these.
Yeah.
We've had this conversation several years ago as a city.
Right.
I understand. I'm curious, Will, do you have a ranking order in your head for these?
Pretty much in the order that they were listed.
Okay.
Just going from like, and I'm thinking more of like actionable, like feasible to truly generate some money off of them.
Yeah, because I know we keep going back to thinking about building on them, but it's more than that. So ranking them, thinking about making just profit to put towards future housing versus actually building housing on there is kind of scrambling my brain
Right.
from a ranking perspective.
I think we'll be able to get them all in though.
Okay, well
And
then
then
great.
I put the ones that we don't own last, just because we don't own them, and so I have limited ability to make anyone to do anything with them.
And I assume this is something that we can come back to later if we can only do 3 of them, and then there's another opportunity to talk about it some other time.
Yeah, and we can pay to do our own phase one ESAs. We just Maquette has a grant to do them for free now, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel good about that ranking.
Excellent. That's all I had tonight. Oh, I have got an update, I guess just a verbal update on the Heights Streetscape. Just to let you know what's going on over there. So House Bill 2025, the transportation bill, was released about a week ago, maybe a week and a half ago. And raises taxes on gas in a tiered way over multiple years, adds fees for electric vehicles. This is the omnibus transportation bill that for the entire state. But we understand that us and Tigard, who were approved by the Jurisdictional Transfer Advisory Committee or recommended by them, that we would be our projects associated with our jurisdictional transfer would be housed in the Great Streets Fund. So the Great Streets Fund in the bill right now is funded with $125 million. Which would be enough for our request and Tigard's request, and have a few tens of millions of dollars left over for a statewide application process. So none of the mechanics are worked out at all. This is all also just kind of verbal commitments from legislators. The way I'm understanding it would probably work is there would be nothing, the bill just says $125 million from Great Streets, but then there would be a budget note attached to it, which is not binding in any way, but it's commentary from the legislature that says that jurisdictional projects should be prioritized for Great Streets funding. And that's kind of the best we've been able to sink our teeth into. There's also an issue where a lot of the revenue and new taxes are phased in the bill. So the Great Streets, per my understanding, doesn't get its allocation of funding until next biennium. And so I'm working with ODOT and also with legislative staff to make sure that if there are local matching fund requirements, that we could start work immediately and have the spending that we do immediately count towards match for committed money later. But you know, still, we're very, very small fish in this huge transportation bill. So that's kind of the uphill battle right now.
Oh, very shiny, it's the well.
Yeah.
Small and shiny.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's kind of where that is. And survey work is done to support the 30% engineering on the first two projects. And we expect MIG to carry on engineering work, to start their engineering work in July. Yeah,
Awesome. Thank you, Will.
yeah, thank you.
Okay, do we have any additional items for members today?
I'll say one more thank you to Will for sending on that, the study from the college, that was cool.
Oh, yeah.
That was fun stuff.
Yeah. Okay, well then, if we have nothing else, we'll officially adjourn the meeting at 6:30.